What's up? We're back at the tent. What we're doing today is we're going to turn up the boost. If you watched my last video, it was running fine. I'm going to go ahead and say it's fine. I'm going to keep an eye on it. When I change the oil and stuff, I'll pull on the crank and see that the thrust is not getting out of control. But I was under there. I had a crank sensor go bad on me. It was popping and banging, so I was under there, changed the crank sensor, popping and banging stopped. And while I was there, I put a pry bar on the flywheel because I had to drop the starter. Pried on the flywheel, didn't move much, and then pried back on the damper up front, and yeah, it didn't seem to. So whatever. I think what might have happened was when we drilled that hole in the washer that's in the back of the crank, because the input shaft dicky was hitting it. It might have still been hitting it a little bit, like it wasn't drilled big enough possibly, and was kind of rubbing on the edges and then broke through, and then that's when the noise went away because it no longer was pushing on the crank. I don't know. So anyway, we're gonna hook up my boost controller. Alright, so boost controller. I have one of these bad boys right here, which I'm not gonna put on today, but I'll just show it to you. It's called Mac valve, and it's basically a pneumatic. I mean, it's electronic, but it's a valve, an electronic valve. And so what you can do is manipulate the pressure on the wastegates to control boost, and then you can wire this in. Over there is a plug for the Holly to add outputs and inputs, so you would plumb this in there, and then you could configure it on the Holly to control boost with mile per hour, or if you have shifter selector, you could do like boost by gear, you could do by time, by like drive shaft speed, front wheel sensor, any method that you want to, you can configure it to do that. But today I'm just going to do my manual boost controller. I have a manual boost controller in the car. It's just a knob. I'll show you quick. And let's see, this bad guy right here. And it's just an air pressure regulator is what it is. And you can get them from, usually they use them for air compressors or whatever. But basically it's just a bypass valve. So what you do is you would hook it up to the wastegates. Here's the wastegates. If you don't know how the wastegates work, there's one here, and the other one you probably can't see. It's under there on the other side. But yeah, I was having issues with boost creep. That meant that the one wastegate wasn't bleeding off enough exhaust pressure to maintain the turbine speed, and thus it was over boosting is what it's called. You have boost creep, you can't control the boost, etc. Now the way these work, basically exhaust goes in to the wastegate and to the turbine. This pipe leads into the turbine here, spins that turbo up, and when you get to a certain boost level, you want it to maintain that speed of the turbo, that compressor speed, to maintain that boost, and it does that by bleeding off excess exhaust pressure. This is basically a valve in here that opens and closes this way, and when it opens it lets exhaust out. See, I have that little tailpipe. The other side plumbs back into the exhaust, so you don't hear it. But so what we're going to do is, the way it's set up right now, there's the bottom of the wastegate, and you have a diaphragm in there, and there's a spring on top, and depending on what spring you have in there determines how much boost you're going to have. So for example, I have a 5-pound spring in there. It opens at 5 pounds because it gets a boost reference from the turbocharger, which is this line right here. So the pressure that's being seen inside the turbocharger goes through this hose and to the wastegate. So when it gets to 5 pounds, there's a 5-pound spring in there, it starts opening this gate, opening this valve to bypass exhaust pressure, maintain that 5 pounds of boost. So what we're going to do now is this is the traditional way you hook up just on your wastegate spring. So what you want to do to increase boost is put pressure on this top port. I have a little hose hanging here. I'm blocking my flashlight over. So you put pressure on top of the wastegate. Now, how that works is you just put, like I said, you have a 5-pound spring in there. So if you put 1 pound on top, it should, in theory, give you 6. If you put 2, it'll give you 7, 3, 8, etc. In a perfect world, but you have to remember you have exhaust pressure pushing on this valve against it, so it may take more than that to reach your desired boost level. But you just crank it until you got what you need. So what you do now in order to put pressure on this top port is get the boost reference, and then you run it to the controller. These lines connect to that controller in my glove box. So what I'm going to do is take this line, which I had these labeled, and I remember that this is the in, because there's an in and out on the regulator. So this is the in, and this is the out. So I'm going to plumb this into the turbo. Then it's going to tee off to the bottom of the gates, one to the reference. So you have one to the reference, one to the thing, and then... Alright. Sorry, sometimes this gets confusing. So, you got to get the pressure source from the turbo, and it'll go into this line, which goes to the regulator. Now, you also have to give the lower wastegate lines a reference as well. So, I'm going to have to stick a T, which I have right there. And then, this line will come out of the regulator and go to the top of the gate. So, I have to T the gates together. There's one here, and then there's another one over there. So I have to just tee those together and then connect it to here. And then what you're going to do is get pressure from the turbo through to the regulator, and then crank it, slightly open it is what you're doing, and it'll let more pressure onto the top of the gate. And that's how you increase the boost. And you basically just keep turning the knob. It's kind of trial and error. You turn it a little bit, floor it, see what it does. So, and the way the Mac valve would work would be with duty cycle. Basically, it flutters, it kind of opens and closes real fast. And the good thing about that is it can actually hold it closed until it reaches that set, 5-pound point, for example. Like with a manual controller, it'll gradually start opening at earlier than 5 psi. So it helps with lag a little bit, gives you a quicker spool. So yeah, I'm gonna try to run these in a tucked manner. I got kind of a janky setup going on right here right now because it was just temporary on the gate spring. So yeah, let me get to it. Alright, so I got it hooked up. It's a total spaghetti right now, and that's no good. I gotta get that off of there. Can't be rubbing the belts, man. So I'm gonna have to zip tie some shit. Again, this is temporary because I do want to do the electronic Mac valve guy, and I got a bunch of fittings to do it all. Screw some of these on top of the wastegates. Right now I just have hoses on the wastegate. So yeah, I'm going to switch over these fittings and plumb it nice, tie it up where it needs to be tied. I'm going to zip tie it in some areas here too, but I think I got it right. So main compressor source comes over here to this T right there, this one, and then this goes to the regulator, and the other side of the T goes to the reference on the bottom of the gate. So it's this guy right here. So that's it going into the regulator, and then coming out of the regulator is a T right here, another guy. So this is out of the regulator into the T, and it tees off to the top of the wastegate. It's got one here, one over there. I just tried to route it somewhere where it's not going to rub, where it's not going to cook. So yeah, now we go for a ride and start cranking on the knob and just watching data logs. Start data log and watching as you're slowly, you can look at the gauge too, but the Holley software will compensate for it. So, but it'll be good to see like on a data log and stuff. So yeah, let me pack this up, clean this up, and we'll take it for a ride. Alright, so let's fire it up, take it for a ride. Let's see what we got here. Alright. Let it warm up a bit. And I'll fire up the laptop. Oh, let me show you the boost controller. So, see there's a little plus and a minus on it, to turn it the right direction. So I think if I hooked up those hoses wrong, then it's just backwards. But you pull up on this bad guy, it clicks, and plus is this way. Increase the beast. Now you got to be careful with the resolution on these things. Sometimes they're really sensitive, where it'll turn 7 times and give you nothing, and then the last turn it gives you 12 pounds of boost extra on top of what you wanted. So that's why it's tricky. You gotta, this is supposed to be a fine adjustment one, so you can kind of crank on it a lot before it does anything. So I just cranked on it a bit there. And the other thing too is I have a 5-pound spring in there. So the general rule is you should be able to get double your gate spring. So I should have no problem getting 10, probably even more. I should probably even get more than 10 pounds because the back pressure, that's when it starts to become an issue. When you start pushing higher boost, creates more back pressure on the turbine, and then it requires more pressure on top. You should be able to double your gate spring at least. And the thing about that electronic boost controller I'm going to hook up, the Mac valve, it's a 4-port, so that should allow you to manipulate both the top and the bottom of the gate, so you can actually have like a 3-4 pound spring in there and then swing it as high as 25 pounds. So then you can ramp it in however you want, like I said, with the either mile per hour or time or wheel speed, whatever. So yeah, that's going to be good. Yeah, it's at 150 degrees. I'm going to take it for a little ride and we'll let it warm up. And I'm going to fire up the Holley here on the laptop and we'll do some data logs. Alright, we are cruising. I'm going to do the testing with the exhaust dump open. Because with it closed, the boost might not be necessarily the same as when it's open. It'll probably be less, which is a good thing if you're you don't want to tune for a certain pound of boost and then it's giving you more. So we'll do it with the exhaust open, and I'm just gonna lay into it like gently and keep my eye on the boost gauge. Leave it in third, and we'll hit the data log button now. Okay, so the boost is down here, 6. So yeah, if you scroll along, that's 4,000 RPM up top. It says 4,000. So you scroll along, 5,000, 7 pounds, 7.5, 5,000 RPM, 5,500, 6. Yeah, it's 7. and then I let off like 53, so it wasn't a lot of RPM, but it's around 7. So what I'm going to do is I'll turn the knob a little more and see if it increases. Alright, so I turned the knob a little more. Get the data log going here. I saw it hit 8.2 or something. So I turned it up twice already. Now I saw like 8.2. I still gotta look at the data log. But it doesn't really, I mean, it doesn't feel bad, but it's probably, you know, 6 pounds, 7 pounds. It's gotta be in 500 range. I mean, even naturally aspirated, it'd probably be at least 450. I'd say you know, it's gotta be, because it's 10/6 to 1. It's a 10/6 to 1, 403 cubic inch with square port heads. You know, so motor only, it would, you know, with cam and exhaust, it would do probably 500 at least, probably like 550, 530. So with 6 pounds boost, it's no slouch, you know. It's I'm used to it, so I'm like, this thing feels like a roach, but yeah, for your average person, the car's kind of heavy. It's like 3,800 pounds, 6-8 pounds. It's no slouch. What I want to do too is also look at the boost, of course, and then also just check that the closed loop learning is kicking in, so it's targeting the air fuel ratio. That's all okay. There's no timing in it right now. That's something we'll do when I get it on the dyno. We'll start playing with timing and see what that gets us to. You know, this is just see how it does. I think when I do get it dynoed, Matt has a rig where he hooks up his air compressor or shop air, and basically just put as much pressure on top of the wastegates as you want. You know, for testing reasons, it's great. You just turn the knob on his regulator and it makes whatever boost you need it to. You know, you don't have to worry about, you know, messing with the controller. Changing springs if you have to, if you run out of spring, whatever. So yeah, let me look through this data log and see how it's doing. Okay, let's scroll over to where I hit it. Bam. 0 PSI. 6, 7, 8, 8.3, 8.2, 8.1, 8 point what? 8.2, 5,000 RPM. Air fuel is 11.8, so it's pulling fuel because the target is at 12.2. See, 11.8, 12.2. So yeah, it's actually pulling 6%. It's learning, so that's good. It's doing good there. I'd like to get it higher RPM. Maybe I'll do a pull in second. It's gonna spin though. It'll spin and kind of throws your. If it spins, it, you know, it's not a true representation of what'll happen under boost. You know. All right, so I turned it again. Let's go for another ride. All right, data log's running. I'll try a little higher speed this time. Higher speed, higher RPM. Wow, that hit 13. Felt pretty good right there. Okay, I saw it hit 13 PSI. Yeah, I want to show you. Here's the learn table. It says right here, learn table. This is not necessarily the closed loop. The closed loop is almost instantaneous, but this is recording too the fuel that it's actually pulling fuel, which is good. You'd rather have it pull fuel. See how it says like -7, -5%. So it was too rich for the target that we have. Let me open the data log. I'll show you what I mean. It's all the way down here, number 44. Boost knob. Yeah, I saw it hit 13, so I called it 13 psi. Now I'll scooch over to where I floored it here. Scroll up. Here's the boost down there. 12.6, 13.7. And what's the AFR? Target is 11.8, and it was 12.0. So it pulled 15% there. Yeah, that's a lot. So, you know, I'll apply that learn table then. Look, see, it was rich here, 10.8. So yeah, this is what it's going to do. It's going to smooth and pull, add timing, whatever you need. There's 11 pounds, 12 pounds, 13.7, 13.7. Okay, I think what I'm going to do now is apply the learn table and not touch the boost controller this time. So we just transfer learning to base. This is why the Holly's so beautiful. It's easy. So now it's going to put those numbers in, and hopefully next pull it'll be closer on the target versus what I'm actually getting, air-fuel ratio. I always save these over and over again. It's not a bad idea. Yeah. Okay, so yeah, I'm gonna take it for one more, not touch the boost controller, just kind of make sure that that's what it's, that's what it's doing. If that's what it's gonna be, I'm happy with that, and then we'll work on the cleaning up the fuel table, and then I'm not gonna play with timing. We'll wait for the dyno to do that. But yeah, let's go for one more ride. Alright, data log started. Yeah, it was 13. And I think I actually saw it go down to 12.5. But yeah, we'll check out the data log on that one. Feels good. Feels real good. Yeah, I gotta look at the timing, but I know there's no timing in it. It's starting to really lift the front end. 13 pounds. It feels pretty good. I don't know how much more I'll be able to. Maybe that's why it's starting to fall off. Maybe it hits 13 and then it starts going down to 12, because I only have I think it's 6 pounds, 5.8, whatever. 6 pounds. I think it's 6 pounds per. So, if I can get double that, that's kind of why I wanted to take it to a higher RPM. So you'll see if it'll fall off. If it starts falling off, then I need a bigger spring to get more than that. The exhaust pressure is what happens. It starts blowing the valve open. Pressure on that valve. And then you can no longer. And then it'll spike because at the lower RPM, there's not as much exhaust flow, and it's able to keep up. So you're commanding 13 or whatever with the manual control, or 15, let's say. It'll go up to there. Then as soon as the back pressure starts kicking in, it blows the gate open, and it'll level off to wherever your gate plus your pressure on top of the gate, your gate spring and pressure on top of the gate will allow you. And then if you're in that situation, then you gotta add another spring or the 4-port boost controller. So yeah, I'm gonna leave the boost where it's at. I just want to look at the fueling, see how it did, and just clean that up. Make sure that it's nice and on target, getting what it's targeting. So I might need a couple more pulls like that, and to clean it up. But it's on the rich side, so that's good. So check out the data log. Okay, so yeah, it goes up a little over 13. I think it hit 13.9, 13.5, 13.9. And then yeah, it's around 12, 13 the whole run. Yeah, it seems to have spiked on like the initial hit, maybe. Well, it's already 4,000 RPM because this thing starts making boost at like 3,000, but I wasn't in it. I didn't floor it till like 4,000. So now we look at the look at the closed loop, pulling 15%, 11.8 AFR. There's only 15 degrees of timing in it. That's nothing. It's on E85. I think I had 20 last time at 20 PSI, 20 and 20, or like 21, 20, something high like that. So that's a lot of power when you're adding 7 degrees like that. But yeah, I'm not gonna do that on my own. I mean, I could, but just fucking around on the street in closed course in Mexico. You know, it's better to do this kind of stuff on the dyno, but it's definitely a learning experience for me with the Holly. It's a learning experience for me with the Holly, and I like it. I mean, you can see everything here. Like, because the oil pressure was 85. Let's scroll over to where it was 13.9. That was the peak, 5,000 RPM. 68 PSI fuel pressure, pulling 15% on the closed loop. 11.8, 11.8. So the target and the actual were dead nuts on there. Oil pressure is 87, 14.5 degrees of timing, 80 degree intake temps. Yeah, it's working good. 14 volts. I gotta fix that fucking rattle. You guys hear that? It sounds like a damn cricket. I know what it is. It's the that pull tarp on the back. Well, it kind of squeezes against, and it fucking squeaks. Put some lithium grease on there or something, or some kind of oil or something. So yeah, let's do some more AFR tuning. Let's do that. All right, let's try it for shits and giggles for the dig. This thing's not a dig mobile, but let's get it. Oh yeah. Feels good. Hey, this is why we do this. When it's running good, it's amazing. You know, the highs and lows are intense with this thing. Called hot rodding. Yeah, that was fun. I think I stopped the data log. All right, let's look at the data log there. Feels good, sounds good. I like it. Okay, here's the learn table. Yeah, it's cleaning it up. It's getting closer. You know, 6,000 RPM there. That was, I don't know if I tagged the rev limiter. No, maybe I did. I might have. I don't know. But let's see on the data log. Alright, this one's kind of hard to read. What you can do is start, like, eliminating some of these. Like, the battery is good. Fuel pressure, closed loop. Current learn, target. Oil pressure we know is good. Duty cycle, who cares? It's not anywhere near, I'm sure. As long as the fuel pressure is there. Where's the fuel pressure? 49. So we look at it's hard because I let off, but this green line here is me flooring it. Bang. So 95% throttle up there. No boost. First gear. See if it made any boost. Look at the throttle position. 60, 80, 100%. 5,000, 8 pounds of boost. 54. And then I let off. It's second. Let it boost back on. 7, 9, 10, 11. 10, 11, let off again. Did I get back on it? I think it did for third. There we go. Third. 12.8 pounds of boost, 4,800. 11.6 AFR. Pulling a ton of fuel. 13 PSI in third. 12.7, 12.9, 13, 13.9. 12.0. And then I let off. So that was first, second, third. It's pretty good. Yeah, duty cycle 35%. And 12 pounds of boost. 15 degrees of timing. It's still, you know, it's nothing. So, yeah. Alright, so yeah. I applied the learning table. All these birds out here. What are you guys doing? You gonna get run over, birdies? So, I'm gonna go cruise around some more. Like, lay into it. What is that on the road? Jeez. Oh, it's a cardboard box. It looked like an animal of some sort. But it was a cardboard box. So yeah, I'm gonna cruise around, work the fuel table, get it dialed in a little better, and yeah, I'm gonna schedule with Matt Happel. If you guys know Sloppy Mechanics, go check out his page. If you don't know Matt Happel, he's Sloppy Mechanics. He does the tuning for me. Yeah, he's big in the Turbo LS stuff. He uses a lot of stock parts, makes a lot of power with stock stuff for cheap. Yeah, it's definitely worth the channel, worth the subscribe. I hope you guys enjoyed my video. I don't know, maybe I'll do some burnouts. If I do some burnouts, I'll record them for you. Alright, see ya. Some kids back there saying I should do a burnout, so you know I should. Burnouts ever get old? Oh, I forgot to tell you guys, I got one of these. This is dragging. So I'll be playing with this for sure. For sure. Alright, later guys.